This 2001 super rare Proton Satria Sport popped up for sale at an auction house near where I live recently. Stay tuned until the end of the video to find out the shocking price of how much it actually sold for and just why I didn't buy it for my ever-growing Proton collection. Hello, you absolute legends. Welcome back to the channel. John here, and in this video we will have a more in-depth look at a car, well, I'd never actually seen in the metal until recently. In fact, that's a lie, because I'd never even heard of one. A few weeks back, I started to get messages from subscribers and followers sending me links to a car advertised for auction as a Proton Satria Sport Lux Auto. And I immediately got very excited and registered on the website so I could have a better look. It was being offered for sale at Anglia Car Auctions in Kings Lynn with no reserve. And from the initial walk-around video and photos on the website that I looked at, well, it looked an absolute peach. Their write-up, as I read on their catalogue, was as follows. Now a rare machine, this automatic 2001 Proton Satria Lux Sport Auto has been in storage for 12 years. It was registered in September 2001 and is now showing 49,503 miles on the odometer. The Proton does run and drive, but its last MOT expired in May 2013. After having been tested the year before at an indicated 47,123 miles, so it's likely to require some recommissioning, the only paperwork included being the V5. Well, after reading that, I was even more excited. Wow, a low mileage car that seemingly had lived a charmed life. It did, however, make me ask the obvious question in my head: why on earth has it been off the road for 11 years? As you can see from the walk-around video here taken by the team at Anglia Car Auctions, everything looks in very good condition. The external paintwork looked undamaged and I couldn't actually see any major scrapes, rust, knocks or bumps. A few blemishes here and there, but the interior looked in fantastic condition and most of all, it all appeared to be there. Imagine trying to have to find some of these super rare trim parts now here in the UK in perfect condition. I would say that is almost impossible. So you may well be thinking, hang on a minute, John, that car looks exactly the same as a Proton Satria GTI. Well, it kinda is in looks, minus a few details which I'll mention in a second. However, in fact, you may also be thinking, hang on, John, that looks like a rebadged 1992 Mitsubishi Colt. Well, that's also because it is. Proton in the UK sold these as a Proton Compact. In around about 1996 they entered the UK market, and in around 2001 they changed the name, introducing the Satria name instead. I assume to try and keep everything nice and fresh. To try and counterbalance dwindling sales, Proton actually had to try and keep people interested in a body shell style that was now, 10 years old. The 1.8 litre Proton Satria GTI model was a very cheap hot hatch, which of course was an exceptionally attractive car to younger boy racer types. But the cost of the insurance on the Satria GTI for a young driver was so expensive that it was putting many off, well, actually buying them. Enter then the Proton Satria Sport. Ha! Proton, of course, decided to start offering standard Satria cars with the 1.5 litre engines, the Mitsubishi Magma one, fitted with the GTI body parts, so that the younger drivers had a better chance of affording the insurance and could still pretend that they had a GTI. Again, Proton called these smaller engined, body-kitted models Sport. It was available in a 5-speed manual, or as this one is, an automatic, which in a list of reasons as to why I didn't buy this car is sadly one of them. Remember I said there were, however, subtle differences? Well, unlike the GTI, these sport models came without front fog lamps, the holes instead being blanked off, but were able to accept GTI fog lights if the owner wished to fit them. 2004 was the last year that the Satria was available as new cars in the UK. Of course, I had to go and see the car. It was about an hour's detour on my way home from work one evening. I got to the auction house quite late, and the first thing I noticed, well, was this rust around the back window, as you can see. The next thing I could notice was that every single flat surface, the roof and the bonnet, was peppered with little dints, almost as if it had been stuck in either a massive hailstorm or under, I don't know, some sort of chestnut or acorn tree. Every single panel of the car was dinted, and you could see that on the roof and bonnet. There's also parts missing, including the elusive towing eye cover, but I wasn't too bothered about that because, well, they seem to disappear on every single car. There's the photo, there's the lot 256, so clearly I'm looking at the right Proton. Standing back, it looked in relatively good condition. From the photographs you can see that rubber moulding trim from the side was discoloured, and I didn't really know what to expect, obviously being a nearly 25-year-old car. The spoiler clearly had been repainted at some point in its life, and well, then I got to the offside, and look at that. Immediately I could see that the car had been painted. It was 2 shades of silver. Maybe somebody had done a quick job on the offside, but I noticed some more rot around that back window. It's almost brand new tailgate time. Let's have a look at the offside then, which it was difficult because the car was obviously wedged in between a few Rovers, and one of the first things I noticed was the carrying on of that silver colour down the entire offside of the car. You can see here it is a totally different colour against the bonnet, which why would a car that was 50,000 miles and been off the road for 12 years needing a respray down an entire side? I'm assuming it's been involved in some sort of accident. The alloy wheels were in fantastic condition, and actually I struggled to see underneath the car to check for rot and rust because of these body skirts and sill covers. It did actually look relatively solid. I can't say anything too bad about the bodywork of the car. There's a little bit of corrosion, but what do you expect for a car of that year? I did actually put my hands in at the wheel arches, but then I started to look closer at that paint job, and you can see, well, in my opinion, it's been done on the cheap. Masking lines round windows, the fuel filler cap, door handles, etc. And at this point, I was still relatively interested in the car, but, well, not as much as I was before I attended the auction house. I was really glad that somebody definitely told me to go and look at the car and not rely on what other people have told me or a phone call from the auction. Again, you can see more dints and dents in those panels, and for a car that had clearly been resprayed, how has it got so dented? You can see that Rover 25 in my way, but I of course wanted to check out the inside of the car. The door strap on this door was broken, if I'm honest, but the door interior looked in really good condition. No major issues with the rubber. That door card was in good condition. There was clearly some sort of masking mark there, and where the speakers had been replaced in the door with some aftermarket ones. The original speakers, of course, not designed to be hammered as much as this probably had. Genuine mileage, 49,504. But again, I was reminded by myself that this is an automatic car. Also, didn't have the Recaro sports seats like a Proton Satria GTI, just standard Satria compact seats. The Clarion stereo had been removed. There should have been a CD changer in the boot. That sadly also missing, but the confetti style seats in relatively good condition. The bolsters, no major rot on there or holes. In fact, the interior of the car was in its favour. Again, me pointing out some terrible masking lines, including on that fuel filler cap. It's clearly been done on the cheap or by somebody who was not maybe an experienced painter, and the fact that it's been done that way, you can see it has started to chip around the fuel filler cap. At this point, I know that I'm not going to be bidding on this car. But let's take a look for the rest of the video into the tailgate. You can see someone's removed some drainage holes, not there, but actually underneath where the spoiler sits. That's probably because of water ingress into the boot. Can you see? There should be a bung there and some tape. It looks good though, doesn't it, inside there? It's a fun little compact car, but hang on a minute, that looks very damp, doesn't it, in the boot there? And you can see that the boot carpet has eaten itself. It's fallen apart and it's gone. Oh my goodness! Proton Satria swimming pool included. Now, in the original Top Gear of the original Proton, there was still a swimming pool in the boot. However, I didn't expect a car that was being sold at auction to still have a swimming pool in the back. I would have thought that the seller would have at least got his wet and dry vac out and hoovered that out of there. You can see also the data cable where the CD changer had been removed and just chucked in the boot. It's a shame that didn't exist. I folded the seats back in a minute just to have a look at the other seat and came across to the passenger side. Door card this side looking in relatively good condition. Power windows, and you can see it's also had that replacement speaker there. Door trim looking good. And again, the door shuts this side all good. It's a shame that the car was missing its original floor mats. And hang on a minute, what's that? The locking wheel nut tools. I thought that was the original tax disc holder at the time and the last tax disc on the car in there, looking damp. What the vendors didn't say at the point of advertising the car for sale was that it came with a whole host of owner's manuals and packs and bits and pieces, the original brochures and booklets in the car. I had a good flick through them just to see if I could see anything interesting. Not really. I like to see if I can find original names of salesmen or salespeople and original names of owners. Nice that pack was in there though, including the original details for the Clarion CD radio cassette. There's the part numbers as well, which was good. I was happy about that because I could find myself those online. After having a flick through that, we've got to have a look at the security register documents. Those are the things that are etched into the windows. They're always fun. And some more Proton documentation, including this ISR card. Cool. After putting those back in the glove box, I decided to check out the rear of the car. I struggled here. You can see me struggling. There it is, to get that seat forward. Again, no original floor mats in the rear, but the backs of the seats looking in good condition, and there's me feeling the carpets to see if it was damp or not. I originally had to double check because I thought that the rear headrests had gone missing. And actually this car was never sold with rear headrests, nor was the GTI. That ashtray in the back broken. The only thing that I could find inside that was, apart from that missing CD cassette player. Let's come out of the car, back into the front, and have a look in the centre console. Again, automatic. I'm still questioning life choices at this time. And what's in this centre console? Little armrest, nothing, but it's all not broken and in good condition. The headlining of the car does not look damp. The saving grace, obviously, that it doesn't have a sunroof. Some were offered with like a folding sunshine edition, and well, those are even more increasingly rare. Gas struts at the back will probably need replacing. They're all rotten, but I'm still umming and ahhing about continuing having a good look round the car, because as I say, at this point I knew that it wasn't for me, it wasn't for my collection. At this point I knew that it was going to be documented for the channel, and I'm hoping in the back of my mind that it does find a good home, because it is still a rare car. It needs to be loved by someone that's going to do the work, or just enjoy it for what it is. Maybe they don't need to be as picky as me, in somebody that has a Proton collection. Now, I wasn't able to start the car up. I had a chat with one of the team at Anglia Car Auctions who said we're not allowed to hand keys over and start cars up until after they've been bought. I was confident that the car started, run, drove and stopped, however, because as you saw at the beginning of the video, well, they drove it down the road. Underneath again looked good, and the rear wheel arches looked good too. Though it was time to look at the engine bay, which you can see was in relatively good condition. I wasn't concerned about a mechanically problematical car. As you know, Dad can fix anything mechanical. He's not, however, a painter or bodywork guy. So if it was running like a bag of nails and was cosmetically beautiful, I would have bought this car. The issues are the cosmetics and the underlying untold issues, and the fact that it needed a respray on the entire offside. That's what put me off this car. But underneath the bonnet looked good, no rot. Again, we come back to the front. Take a look at where those fog lights should have gone. Remember from the introduction? Back to the side of the car. Again, I would have loved to have got some WD-40 or something on those side rumble strips. The engine I had no concerns with. And actually, what a beautiful car it is. From the back, it has that sporty look, that spoiler and those arch stripes. And the back box and underneath, well, looked in relatively good condition. I think my takeaway for this car is that mechanically it probably needed a few £100 spending on it. Cosmetically, it needed upwards of £1,000 spending on it. What was I going to bid? Well, if it was in good condition, I would have bid up to £1,500. If it was perfect, I'd have probably paid £1,800 to have it in my collection. As it is, I decided not to bid on the car. I knew that it was offered with no reserve, and I knew that it was going to sell. Let's take a look then at what it sold for and watch the auction on the day. I was genuinely shocked. I think you will be too.
Lot 256 now. There we go. We got the Proton there, the Luxboard Auto, this one. It's an automatic. It's been in storage for around 12 years then. It was registered in September 2001 there. Now showing just 49,000 miles. Good usable little automatic, that one. It's here for sale. I'm £400 on bid. 500 on bid back in the room at £500 bid. At £500 on bid there now. Nice cheap little automatic. 600 now. 700. £800 on bid. £900. Don't leave me there. At £900. 1,000 bid. At £1,000 on bid there now. Then at £1,000 bid. At £1,000 on bid now. He's walking away. It's on sale. At £1,000 on bid there now. Then at £1,000 it is there now going once. £1,000, you're sure? It's all £1,100 now online at £1,100. At £1,100, don't shake your head. At £1,100, thank you anyway. At £1,100 on bid here now, then it's at £1,100. It's online. He's shaking his head in the room. You're sure you're all gone and done then? We're selling it outright at £1,100. It is. That's yours, internet, at £1,100.
So there it is then, £1,100 online the car sold for, including fees and all the bits and pieces, £1,260. Genuinely shocked that it made that much on the day. Plot twist though, a week later it's up for sale again, this time for £2,000 on Facebook Marketplace, advertised as this very rare Proton Sport Auto. I wonder when the last time you ever saw one of these. Well, I can tell you, 7 days ago at Anglia Car Auctions for £1,260. If you've enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments down below. What do you reckon? Should I have bought it? Or is it a case of you can't win them all and I am glad that I walked away? Like the video if you haven't already done so. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so to stay up to date with all the Proton content. Until next time, thanks for watching. Goodbye. I knew you'd stay around until the end, and as a special treat, I've got this video for you, which I think that you will enjoy. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with what Dad and I are doing next.